All right. And we are officially live. You're in Tampa today, right?
I am in Tampa today. Yes.
Awesome.
Good
deal. Perfect. Well, as some people are popping in here, I will go ahead and introduce you. My name is Bradley Hannon. First of all, if you guys are new here, we are going to run this series the entire month of October called the Power Lunch Prep Series, right? And this is to prepare you for the under 65 individual open enrollment period, which starts November 1st. And, no matter where you are, is going to be a little extended today or this year. And today I have an extremely special guest and a really, really good friend of mine. Truthfully, a mentor and an OG in the business. Been around in the business for a while, but he's not as old as you might think. Just by the years he's spent in the business. He started when he was like 12 or 13, Joe?
13.
He started when he's 13. So he spent a considerable amount of time in this industry. I'm going to brag on him a little bit and just let you know that he's got over 500 agents contracted with him, not just contracted, but writing, and over $120 million in annual premium written. So when you want to learn from somebody, right, you got to go out and find the best. And I consider Joe one of the best. So I'll flip it over to you, Joe, and you can go ahead and introduce yourself. But man, I'm really excited to introduce you to a lot of people who, some of them know who you are, but a lot of people may not. And this is going to be a lot of fun.
Well, thanks, brother. It's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, it has been 28 years since I got my insurance license. So I must have started when I was 13. And thank you very much for that. The biggest part of everything that we've got going on here is we really, truly want the agents to be able to succeed. And we're coming up on the most important time of the year for success for agents. And look, in all lines, but specifically on the under 65 business. And I really think that it starts now. For those of us that have been in the business for a little bit, this is the time for us to be working with our existing clients and making sure, if they're on an ACA plan, they know that we're going to be contacting them. And if they're not on an ACA plan, let's start prepping with that right now. Let's even get those policies written. A lot of the carriers give us a 90-day window, so we can actually write plans to start on January 1st as of today. And that'll give us the opportunity to utilize that November 1st start date to really capture some new business.
Yeah, no, I love that. And we've been harping that for the last couple weeks because, man, we get a head start with certain carriers. And it also will allow you to spend your time during the actual, marketplace open enrollment period where you need to spend your time. So, hey, by the way, guys, one thing I didn't mention is I know it looks a little funny and it may even sound a little funny. I'm actually at Sarasota Memorial Hospital, just had my second boy. And so if you're popping on this stream, right, first of all, I appreciate you being here. But if you're watching the replay and you're like, oh, I had some other things to do, I missed it. Well, you got nothing more important than that. So we're going to be about 30, 45 minutes. And then I'm going to get in there with my newborn. And man, we're just super excited.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
We came in at 10 last night, and things couldn't have gone smoother. But hey, I just saw somebody comment congratulations on the Facebook group. If you will go ahead and click the link so that we can see who you are, then I would know who is congratulating me and who to thank later. But also, when you have questions, if there's anything that I can do to follow up and help you out or things like that, I want to be able to see who you are. So if you're on the Facebook feed, make sure you click the link to authorize us to see your name in the group. Eric will post some more instructions on that. But I want to dive back into what you just mentioned about, really seeing your agents win. And man, I don't know many people that have more agents, more managers, more leaders, more people in the business that are winning, that are succeeding. And not only that, but are very, very happy and thankful for the investment of time and energy that you've put in there or put out there. What would you say is kind of the most important thing? And I know there's a ton of things, but what would you say is kind of the most important thing for what was the most important thing you did as you were growing your agency to make sure that you created an environment that, did inhibit growth amongst everybody?
There's really two things. The first thing is what I found in myself, when I was making my last move and trying to figure out where I wanted to bring my business 15 years ago was that uh, over and above the money, but certainly inclusive of the money, I wanted to be a part of something and to let the agents know not just that, they're I want them to know that they're appreciated. I want my agents to know that I care about them. They are my family. It's not, I don't say they are like my family. They truly are my family. And we do our best to treat everybody that way. That's number one. The other thing is this, is that, look, we all know something about this business and honestly, any business, it's an effort game. So for those agents that are putting the effort in, my job and the position that I sit in is to give my agents all the tools they need to succeed and then some. So I want my agents to have everything that they could possibly need to succeed, whether that be leads or training, all those things. That doesn't mean that they don't have to work. They do, because if they don't work, they don't make it. That's simple. But for those people that work, they're going to have a great place to do it. They're going to have people that care about them, and they're going to have those tools. And that has really been the driving force over the years. And one of the reasons that I have the best team in the industry. I swear by that.
Yeah. And so let's talk for a moment about some of those tools, because I want to speak to the individual agent out there that's maybe not building an agency and saying, well, great, we've got to provide great tools for our agents and things like that, but I don't have any agents, and I hope to have some agents one day, but I want to write some business this OEP. And, my goal is to, make another 30, 40, 50, 60, six figures, whatever it might be, and use that money to start to grow a team. What are the tools that an individual agent needs to succeed, in this obviously cash grab of a season for us?
So let me touch on the cash grab first. It is that, okay? So you got to give yourselves a number. If you say, hey, what is that number? I'll give you one to start with, and you kind of tweak things from there. My average agent over the last 3 years during this upcoming 45-day window, and we'll just use that number because that's the typical open enrollment, my average agent has made somewhere in the ballpark of $21,000 over the last 3 years. So that means that, some people didn't do a whole bunch, and some people have made multiple six figures in this 45-day period. But give yourselves a target, give yourselves a goal, something to shoot for. That's number one. And the second thing that nobody needs to be there for you to help you set yourself up for success is you have to have a schedule. You absolutely positively need to know what you're doing every single day, and you got to stick to it. You all know that in this business, no one's standing over your shoulder telling you exactly what you have to do and when you have to do it. So you tell yourself what you have to do, hold yourself accountable to yourself and your family, but you have to have that schedule, guys and girls. You gotta stick with it.
Yeah.
And how we plug the rest of the stuff into that becomes it is extremely important. But if we're just throwing stuff at a wall whenever I decide to work, that does not work.
Yeah. I agree. And Jason asked a good question on that topic. He said, what would you say that 21,000 relates to as far as like the number of enrolled individuals or, applications, policies? If somebody's out there setting a goal, what would be a good number to set somewhere in that range?
Well, I'll tell you, that's a great question. So the average there is about 64 clients. And here's the good news about that. Number one, it's not a crazy number. Number two, this year, the ACA commissions have actually come up. So those commission numbers are also going to come up. And the key to that is it's not 64 applications, guys. It's 64 customers. Right. See, if you're going to make money in this business, number one, if you are selling ACA plans, all those holes have to be plugged with, with the supplemental products that exist out there. And number two, you also have to realize that a lot of people do not belong on an ACA plan. I am the perfect case in point. Right. If you tried to sell me an ACA plan, that means that you are not listening. I was on a call with an agent yesterday, and she said to me that she doesn't feel comfortable selling anything other than the ACA. And I gave her my scenario. My scenario is I live on an airplane. Okay.
You literally do.
Not technically, but I will tell you that here we are on October 6th, and I have taken 72 flights since January 1st. So I'm pretty close to living on an airplane. Now, if you put me on an ACA plan, that means I am only covered in the county or the state, depending on the plan, where that plan resides. And so for the other 300 days out of the year, I actually have no insurance. And so, guys, you got to be getting these people's situations. Short-term medical is great for a lot of those instances, or share plans. There are a number of different options. So as we head into this season, a good mix, in all honesty, should be for new customer acquisition. You're going to be somewhere in the 50-50 ballpark. 50% of your customers should end up on an ACA plan with a minimum of 2, but probably 3.5 ancillary products, including your dental. And then the other 50% should be on other insurance products as a base plan. And that is how you're going to make the money that you need to make. And don't forget, you're going to sell it all now, but guys, you're going to get paid on this for the rest of the year. So if over the next 45 days, you understand that, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. I tell my agents all the time, the only day off is Thanksgiving. Enjoy it. But then you're going to give yourself a $30,000, $40,000 salary to start the year on January 1. Hey, that's worth it. And you know what? If you talk to your wife and your kids, I guarantee you they would say that it's worth it to them as well, because you get to enjoy a little bit of next year with them without the stress of wondering whether or not you're going to be able to pay your bills or to get that new car or whatever your goals are. That is a big deal for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a big deal, but you're not going to get there, like you said, without working a schedule. Right. And I know it greatly varies. And listen, I am of the belief that if it makes you happy and you need, I'll give you an example. I had an agent one time who I was pushing. I never really asked her what she wanted to be held accountable to. Right. You talked about you can only hold yourself accountable. And I too believe that. And so a lot of times I'll say, hey, what do you want me to hold you accountable to? 1 day a week, 3 days a week, 5 days a week. Because as long as we understand each other, we're good. Right. But for somebody, let's talk about for the person that is, wanting to maximize their income in open enrollment, potentially even earn a six-figure, income, six-figure renewal income in the 2.5 months, because we know it can be done. What kind of schedule would you suggest for that person? And I'm not just saying like sun up to sundown, but more so, where should you invest that time and energy, as well as the actual schedule?
Okay, so where to invest that time is important, and that part of it really does start now. I am a big believer in leads. I will tell you all leads suck, but I'm a big believer in that. But the best leads are the ones that you generate yourselves. You cannot spend a whole bunch of time doing that during open enrollment, but you can spend the next 3 weeks making sure that you get your name out there, whether it be on social media or whether it be going to different events. If you have not started networking, take some time and do it now. And if you have started networking, take some additional time and get yourself out there. Now, the one thing that I always did for myself in sales, and we talked about my team. But let me just tell the people that are online, I'm not talking to you just as a leader. I did this for a number of years. How
long ago, Joe?
Well, the last time I was selling full time was 6 years ago. And when I stopped selling full time, the prior 6 years, I had written over $1 million in business in personal production. And guys, that was pre-ACA. So the premiums were literally half what they are today. So that's $2 million in today's world. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just telling you guys that I know this can be done. And I want you to understand something. When I started doing this, my motivation was fear. I needed to make sales to save. I was 3 months from losing my house, and my wife at the time had no idea. So that was a little bit scary. And then when I cleaned all of that mess up, I changed my motivation. My motivation was when I walked in the house every day and I looked at my two beautiful little girls, it was, you will never have to pay for your education as long as you go. And I set myself up for that. And then my goals slowly changed. But you need to, number one, make sure that people know that you exist. The other thing is this: you're going to talk to a lot of people via those leads right now if you put your time in. Now, when I say put your time in, one of the biggest beliefs that I have is, and I'm a sales guy, so that means I am ADD. Anything shiny that gets in my way, I am going to forget about everything else that's going on around me. So when I set my call schedule, I did it in 2-hour blocks, right? I understand that I have the attention span of a pea, and I'm going to make that work for me. So I would call in 2-hour blocks. When you do that, guys, you are going to get a lot of people that you can help. You're going to get a lot of people that you can't or that won't listen to you. But everybody that would give me the time of day, whether I was working with them or not, I was asking for referrals. And you would be shocked. Whether people buy from you or not, they know somebody that just got laid off and has a COBRA payment of $1,800 a month. And you know what? Why don't you just call my neighbor? He was just talking about this the other day. People talk about what we do. That is one of the reasons getting out there to get referrals is so effective, is that your government has confused people more than anybody could ever imagine. So people are looking for somebody to clarify the mess that they've created. So getting your name out there, number one, asking for referrals. But again, that schedule, I have the opportunity to talk to agents all the time. And we have a brand new agent who called and said, I made 40 calls and nobody picked up. And I said, okay. And she said, so what do I do? I said, well, if you made 40 calls and nobody else picked up, I said, that sounds about like 20 minutes, right? Is that a fair statement? You dialed. You picked up, you got 20 voicemails. Maybe you left a voicemail, so maybe it took you 30 minutes. You still have 7.5 hours on an average day. So don't quit. It's not that number. So if you're going to set some goals, don't set it at a number of dials. Set it at a number of appointments set or at a number of contacts. See, because one of the things I tell my agents all the time is, if you're getting in touch with a lot of people and you're not selling anything, I can fix that. Right, I can listen to those conversations, I can be a part of them, and I can help you transition that, and you will make sales. But if you're not talking to people, and that's the effort part of this game, I can't fix that.
Yeah, I love that, and I want to point out something. So first of all, that is massive, and if they made 40 calls and even were leaving the most long-winded email they could ever leave, telling their entire life story, and it was at 3 minutes per call, that's still 120 minutes. That's 2 hours. There's your one block of time, right? You call in 2-hour blocks. There's your one block of time. Now, great. Now go call for another 2 hours and another 2 hours and another 2 hours, and see where you end up at the end of the day, once you've made 150 calls or 200 calls or whatever that might be. But I also want to go back to what you talked about, not selling for 6 years, because somebody watching could say, well, this guy hasn't sold anything personally in 6 years, even though I know you've sold something, but
for sure. And I've sold quite a bit, but that isn't
right.
For the last 6 years, it hasn't been my full-time job.
So let me go back there, and here's why. Because when somebody watching could say, well, he hasn't sold anything in 6 years, what does he know about the sales process, or what does he know about the products today? I want to tell you guys, Joe is the guy that I call when I have questions about products, or what new products we need to be selling, or hey, what's hot on the street. Because not just, and I'll credit his team as well. He's got so many tentacles out there in the marketplace, to where if it is an under 65 product, it's likely that he knows about it, and knows whether it's worth adding to the arsenal or not. And on the topic of products, right, I want to talk to the agents that maybe are just getting into this, or maybe they don't have a giant product suite. What would you say the top 3 or 4, and we don't have to get carrier specific, but maybe just by plan types and things, what is the top 3 or 4? You'd mentioned that every sale should be three and a half applications average. What are those 3 policies made up of? What does somebody absolutely need to have in their arsenal to have a successful open enrollment this year?
Okay, so for base plans, I believe that you need a good, solid short term Okay. You have to have some fixed benefit plans. Those can be either a base plan or a great supplement on our ACA plans. You need a good, solid share plan. Okay. Like we use one share, but you have to have it. It's good permanent coverage in, well over 40 states. And then I think everybody should have an ACA clone. Okay. Which is an ACA coverage plan that would be underwritten, but has a wide open PPO network, national PPO network. It's expensive, but there's a lot of folks out there that are willing to pay for it. So on base plans, that's where we start. Then for the supplemental products, basics, but really important. Everybody needs an accident plan. Everybody needs a critical illness plan. And everybody needs a guaranteed issue combo plan where it's accident, critical illness, and some of them have disability and life on there as well. But you need that guaranteed issue suite because a lot of your ACA customers are going on the ACA because they have medical issues. And I'm not going to look at somebody and say, I don't have the supplements for you because you can't pass through underwriting. So I need those guaranteed issue pieces.
Absolutely.
I also need to have a good dental suite. And then one other, I really do like plans that will pick up your deductible for any hospitalization. We call them an out-of-pocket protection plan. Something like that in your arsenal can be pretty great. Hopefully Brad had one for the birth of his child, and so the birth of his child is free.
Thanks for the reminder. I do actually, and we'll get processing that claim here shortly.
There you go.
But yeah, that is a great. Hey, do you know, Joe, what an MKG lead is?
I do know what an MKG lead is.
So let me throw this question up. And by the way, guys, I'm going to throw Brian Crow2. Hopefully I said that name right. I'm going to throw Brian's name up. He's got a question here. Listen, if you have questions, I would love to get specific questions answered. There is nobody better to answer questions than Joe and myself on this live stream. So Brian says, Joe, if I'm an MKG lead, sorry to be specific, but that's okay. How would you open that call? Thanks to both of you. This is gold.
Well, thank you for that, Brian. And so the MKG leads are leads that we have generated for us in our agency, and they are Facebook generated, but self-employed specific leads.
So this is one of your.
That's,
I know what you're talking about now. Yep.
Okay. So those leads are out there, and to me, look, guys, my introduction on leads, whether they're a brand new lead, whether they're a 3-month-old lead, to me, it doesn't change a whole lot. I'll give it to you real quick in a few seconds here, Brad. So, for me, I'm going to call. I'm going to say, Brian, this is Joe, the health insurance guy. I saw you were looking for help with your health insurance. Want to see what your situation is and how I can help. That's it, and I'm done. And if it's a 3-month-old lead, which we offer out, Brian, this is Joe, the health insurance guy. I saw you were looking for help with your health insurance 3 months ago. Just want to see if you've taken care of that or how I can help. So again, no last name because they don't care. No company, they don't care. My goal here, guys, is to not sound like a salesperson, but to sound like a person. If you can master that, then you're going to talk to 50% more people, because if you are anything like the rest of us, I hate salespeople. They suck. I don't want to talk to them, right? It's every time I pick up the phone and someone says, hi, Joe, this is so-and-so. How are you today? The hair on the back of my neck stands up, and I cannot wait to get them off the phone. And I try to come up with some lies so I don't have to hurt their feelings. And guys, that's your fault. You are a consultant. You are a person, and you will do business. If you are a salesperson and you sound that way, you're out the door.
I love it. And I hear babies crying in the background. So this is great. I know you guys can't hear, but I can. This is awesome. And if you see me doing this all the time, it's because I slept on one of those.
Oh, you slept on the chair?
Couches last night, and it was interesting. But Brian says perfect. I think we got that question answered. That's awesome. I love to do the Q&A stuff. We're obviously on the topic of leads and calling your leads, and what Joe said about the situation is so huge, guys. I could know nothing about, let's just say somebody is shopping for, we'll just say widgets, right? Because that's a general, very general topic, right? Someone's shopping for widgets and I got their lead and I'm selling these widgets. hey, Joe, this is Brad Hannon with so-and-so, whatever, right? What's your situation? I could know nothing about it. I could literally know zero about the widgets that I'm selling, and that person is going to now open up to me, hopefully, right? And if they don't, I'm getting texts from all your people now. We've got a bunch of Joe's agents on this call as well.
Welcome, guys.
Yeah, so this is good. But yeah, if you don't know anything, even if you don't know anything about it, like we've got new agents that start with us all the time, and it's always about, hey, find out as much information as you can, find out why they're not happy, find out what their situation is, and literally that exact use that exact I don't know who D-Boy is, but that's funny. Here, I'm going to throw that one up on the screen. Find out what their situation is, right? Jason's got another great question. So, what do you think about VAs pre-qualifying, setting appointments over text for you? And I'll just take this one first. Right now, you have the option or the ability to use your time to kind of set some appointments for open enrollment and things like that. But in open enrollment, once you're in the open enrollment period, right, the November 1st to January 15th this year, you absolutely, if you can afford it, should be having somebody, whether it's a VA or whether it's a VA or your mother or your sister, your cousin, and you can pay them $200, $300, $400 a week. I actually saw somebody the other day post that they're looking for appointment setters for the next 2 or 3 months that they're going to pay $500 to $700 a week guaranteed. And I thought, that's genius. Listen, you're talking about the potential of earning $5,000 to $10,000 a week, right, during that open enrollment period. If you can afford it, right, you absolutely should have somebody setting appointments for you, even if you're taking the initial call. And this is to Jason, but Jason says, hey, this is Jason. Absolutely. You know what? I'm going to get you over to my assistant, and they're going to get you on my calendar. This is an extremely busy time of year, and obviously that makes you look good. It gives you some actual credibility, and it makes sure that you are maximizing your time selling. And Joe, if you have anything to add.
I do. So I have two things to add. Number one is in Jason's text, it said to set the appointments over text. I'm not paying anybody to do a whole bunch over text, because I can send out a Calendly link and it can do that. But if they're going to pick up the phone and start an actual relationship, then yes, I am happy to pay them. And just back to the previous point, real quick, on Brad's point of getting all that information, I want to point out that if you guys are successful in getting the information, I don't care how new you are, somebody's going to be able to help you close that business. But it's all about having that initial discussion and getting all of their information. If they're not willing to share the information, try something. So, a lot of people will say, well, hey, I don't feel comfortable sharing that with you. If they say something like that, number one, it probably means you sound a little bit salesy, so they're not willing to talk to you. But number two is, you know what, push back a little bit. You know what, Brad, I understand you don't want to share that with me, but if you don't tell me everything that's going on, I'm going to end up, unfortunately, probably recommending the wrong plan, and I'm not in business to do that. So if that's the case, I'm going to have to ask you to work with somebody else. If you push back, they will throw up information all over you. You won't be able to catch it.
I love that.
Don't try to talk your way out of it. Pull yourself away, and they will give you everything that you are looking for. And what I have found over the years is that if they don't give me that information that I'm looking for, it's because they were never going to buy. 100%. And I didn't lose a thing.
Yeah, I actually saw something on Justin Brock's Medicare Gurus page the other day. Somebody had called and said they were shopping brokers, and they didn't know. They were shopping for a new advisor and wanted to have a conversation to see if the advisor would fit. And would you accept that type of a call during because as you know, AEP is kicking off. Would you accept that type of call during AEP, or is that a good use of my time? And Justin's answer was on point, and I'm going to just paraphrase, but he basically said, hey, I totally respect that. Unfortunately, I have a calendar full of appointments. This is the busiest time of year, and I have a product suite to fit anybody and everybody. And so I know that I'm the best person for the advisor role that you're shopping for. But unfortunately, I don't have the time to go back and forth because it is the busy time of year. So absolutely, give that little pushback or pull away, and people will obviously. I mean, I talked about it with setting appointments all the time. When somebody is, hey, what time works for you, and you're wide open. They say, well, how about you say, how about tomorrow morning or the next day, and it's like, oh, I just got a calendar full of time slots, right? That obviously can be.
It's the old thing, right? So my brother's going through something where he has to have his hip replaced, and the doctor that he chose, he can't get his hip replaced for 4 months because he's busy. The doctor's office called and said, well, they have a new doctor that could take him next week.
Nah.
The answer was no. Well, I want the busy guy. Please let me do business with the busy guy, because the busy guy or gal is doing something right and they know what they're doing. So to Brad's point, if you're setting appointments, if you call me and say you want to buy health insurance and you propose tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, you know what? I have an appointment at 10. How's 9:30 or 11? And I will give you alternate times, but I'm always going to be busy at the time that you propose to me. 100%.
I love it. Yeah, and give them an alternate time, right? That A/B choice, right?
Yeah.
Darla, I don't want to skip Darla's question here. She had said, how do you handle guaranteed issue riders if the client has big health issues? And I would say to that, if it's a guaranteed issue rider, the big health issue is not a major concern. We're not magicians, right? We don't invent the plans. So because of the fact that there is not a plan to suit your client's needs in case they were hospitalized due to a heart attack and they had a heart attack 5 years ago, that's not your fault, right? We can only do what we can do with the products that we have at hand. And if the product's guaranteed issue, you can still write it on them. It just may not pay claims for that particular big health issue. But imagine how many other issues there are that are possible, right?
And they're more likely to have them. And one of the things that I find with agents about this specific situation is that they're afraid to have that discussion. And if they're not afraid of it, the person on the other end of the line is completely understanding. You know what, Brad? You had a heart attack 5 years ago. I got to put this critical illness policy on you because it's going to cover your deductible. God forbid you have a stroke or cancer. It won't cover a heart attack because you had one, but it's going to cover the other items if you have it. They get it, and since they've already gone through that life event, they're more keen on the fact that it can actually happen to them. See, those of us that it hasn't happened to yet, we're invincible. I've been in this business long enough that at least 4 or 5 times a year I get a call from somebody that has had a heart attack, stroke, or cancer that does not have the riders that they need, and they say, what can I do now? And my answer, unfortunately, is go to church, because there's nothing that the insurance industry is going to be able to do for you. And so I want to make sure that they understand their current situation and do my best to cover them for anything going forward. And if they've already had situations in their lives, they know that, guys. They're not looking necessarily for all of the old stuff to be covered. They're just far more aware that something can happen to them in the future, and they want that covered.
I 100% agree. And I have a person right now who they called me and had some knee issues that they basically, they're like, hey, I need a surgery coming up. What do you got? And, while we do have some options, they're not always going to be the best options, right? You're not going to be able to call your insurance carrier, your auto insurance carrier, and say, hey, I got in an accident. Can I, improve my coverage, or can I get on coverage because I don't have any coverage, but I just wrecked my car, right? It doesn't work like that.
Flo says no.
Yeah, you've got to be able to say no. And one of the things that I say, while it may not be the most professional, it works. I say, listen, if there's 10 options and all 10 options kind of suck a little bit, it doesn't change the fact that there's only 10 options, and it's my job to pick the best of those sucky options, right? Or the lesser of all the evils is what I will typically say. But be real with your clients, and it goes back to asking about the situation and not sounding like a telemarketer. The more you are able to be yourself, right, the more people are going to be able to connect with you. I know that I'm not for everybody. I am positive of that. I'm probably for a few people and not for quite a few people. But that's okay, right? Those that do jump onto these things with us, and those that do reach out and say, "Hey, thank you so much for everything that's going on, and love the content." Those are the people that I connect with, and that's my goal to help them, which is why I'm sitting here in the hospital, doing this live stream for you, because I want to see you succeed during this open enrollment.
One of the things that some agents will have a hard time with is that the perfect solution doesn't exist, and so. If you're that person that's out there, let me try to flip that on its head a little bit. People have said to me, well, let me go sell Medicare because all those options are, they're so much better. But here's the thing. To Brad's point, we know what all of the options are. First thing you got to remember is, guys, we didn't create these rules and these laws. Those are your elected officials. Thank them. But I want somebody dealing with me because I know that I'm going to put them in the best situation that they can possibly be in. And if I don't do that, I'm doing a disservice. And there's somebody out there that's going to end up on talking to a call center here in Tampa, Florida, that's going to end up on a fixed benefit plan that they don't belong on. So I'm out there doing the best possible thing for the client. It may not be the perfect solution, but it is the best one that's available to them. And that is a very powerful thing to be able to do. Guys, we didn't create the industry, but we are the ones that are helping these people end up in their best spot possible. And you got to feel really good about that, because if you don't do that, someone else is out for a buck and they're going to put them in the wrong spot. And I hate that.
And even worse, what's going to happen is that person that puts them in the wrong spot, they're reading off of a script that was generated by somebody that does know better, but that doesn't do better, right? They built this script to really pigeonhole somebody in a plan that they don't belong on. Right? Because it's a one size fits all approach, and we're just going to try to sell everybody this particular plan, because that's the way that some call centers, I will say some call centers, because not all call centers are like that. And truthfully, I love the call center model, especially when it's done right.
When it's done right, it's great.
Yeah, but they do exist out there, right? And your clients or your prospective clients will get pushed into plans they don't belong on. It's absolutely going to happen. So let me switch gears real quick, because I want to talk about the one thing again, right? There's always the one thing. I want to talk about the one thing, Joe, and let's say you've got 550 agents, right? Let's talk about your most successful agent, right? We don't have to name names, versus your least successful agent. I see we got Brian Dixon here too. We can pick his.
Yeah, so Brian's got his team meeting, so I'm taking you to another room. I didn't realize. So we're stepping.
Perfect.
Hold on 1 second. Just bear with me. Okay.
So we want to talk about, right?
Ask me that again. We are now set up and ready to go.
It's that easy, dude. It's portable.
That's it.
550 agents, let's call it, right?
Yep.
Talk about, we don't have to name names, but the most successful agent, right? The one that's making the most money, writing the most business, the happiest, whatever that looks like, versus the least successful agent. What separates those two individuals, right? What separates the person that is the high achiever versus the person that just can't seem to figure it out?
One really simple thing, and that is action. The most successful person, or the most successful people, they're always doing the things that they say that they're going to do, whether they want to do them or not. I don't know about you guys. When I started in the business, this thing used to weigh about 7,000 pounds. I couldn't get it up to my ear, right? All of a sudden, it got really light. But the people that can't get over that, and the people that can't do the things, are most successful agents that have been here 18 plus months. The majority of their business, somewhere between 85 and 90% of their business, is based on referrals. But it wasn't that way at the beginning. So they did the little things at the beginning, and the little things to grow that referral base, and the little things to keep money in their pocket by getting on the phone, and the ones that continually do the things that are in their calendar that they know they need to do to grow this business. Guys, we don't keep it a secret. We'll tell you exactly what it takes to succeed. Those are the successful ones. And I have a lot of people that I would call successful that aren't making $1 million. They're making a couple $100,000, but I consider them successful because they're doing it the way that they want to do it, right? I've got people that are living on the beach and dealing with their customers and, just their referrals that come in, and life is really good and relatively easy and all the bills are paid and then some. But they didn't get there by walking in the door and turning on the light switch. They did the things that it took that we told them they were going to have to do, and they followed through. And that is the biggest thing that the people that don't succeed, that's what it is. You can make all the excuses in the world. You can tell me how much the leads suck and that nobody wants to talk to you and all of that stuff. And when you're done making excuses, then you can go and actually succeed in this business.
I love that. And I know that it's got to get old for people that are struggling to hear that sometimes. But I mean, it's the age old thing. It's not what you want to hear; it's what you need to hear. And man, it's if you're like, hey, I don't even know what action do I take, just take an action, right? You're going to learn quickly if it's the wrong action, or if it's the right action, right? Leads.
The most important thing that you will ever get out of what you just said and taking those actions is, if I actually do something and it doesn't work, I know I need to either change how I did it or do something else. People that truly fail are the ones that never actually get going. They never take those actions. You can't win that way.
Man, if Joe had $1 for every time that I called him with an idea of something that I wanted to do, or something that I, thought would be a good thing, man, he would be even wealthier than he already is. Because
I may just be retired. Yeah.
he may just be here for fun, if that was the case. But I literally, I fail all the time. I try to roll out ideas all the time that don't really work. Fortunately, I think this open enrollment power lunch series is going to be one of the better ideas that I ever had, because it's nothing but value. And we're going to have multiple people on here at the same time. Joe was kind enough to kick it off. Hey guys, if you missed Monday, right? So did everyone else. I saw everybody posting in the comments. They said, you send me the replay. Well, I have to tell you, there is no replay from Monday because the whole internet crashed. And by the whole internet, I mean Facebook and Instagram, right? What else does anybody use the internet for? And so we couldn't get the live stream going, but I can tell you, and Eric, he's my media guy, he's been commenting on here. Shout out to Eric. He mentioned that we're just a few subscribers shy of 700 on the YouTube channel. Would love to hit 1,000 by the end of the year. This is the first year that we've been doing this, but the point is, Eric, I called him. I said, hey, can you set up the live stream? We're jumping on in 20, 30 minutes, whatever it was. Oh man, you're doing that? I said, well, yeah, I didn't tell you I wasn't doing it, right? And so when you see this ticker going on the bottom, it says every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right? Barring the internet breaks or something out of my control happens, I will be on it, right? I had mentioned to my wife, hey, I'm going to step out here shortly, and I'm going to I'm going to run that 12 webinar. And she said, wow, good for you. And she wasn't upset about it. She's excited, or she's really motivated by the fact that, hey, it doesn't matter, man. Listen, I'm right down the hall. She's right here. My baby is beautiful and healthy, but you've got to show up, right? You've got to take that consistent action. And I think that's a great, Eric says, in my defense, I thought having a baby was a legitimate excuse. Well, having a baby last night is not a legitimate excuse for today. And I also got to say, I had a 4 p.m. very, very, very important meeting at 4 p.m. Downtown Sarasota about a really big opportunity that I will not be able to attend. So it's all about balance. You've got to be able to, pick and choose. And this is extremely important to me because I want you guys to succeed this open enrollment. My first open enrollment ever, I made 40, my agents would have to remind me. But I want to say it was $47,000 or $37,000. I remember 7 in the month of December, right? I started September of that year. October, November, I was still trying to kind of figure it out. And in the month of December, I made, we'll just call it roughly $40,000. And that one time, right, doing that one time 5-6 years ago changed the trajectory of my entire life. It changed the trajectory of, my son's life. It changed the trajectory of my second son's life, which, hang on, let me just pull up this side by side because you are going to just die when you see. These are my 2 boys, 2 years apart, looking like twins.
Oh, wow.
And I can tell you, both of those kids will be drastically affected by the fact that I took action during my first open enrollment. I made a somewhat of successful year and opened my mind to doing bigger and better things. So I appreciate everybody jumping on. I do want to thank Joe for taking time out of his busy schedule He actually scheduled a couple of dates, so he wants to get back on here. If you have questions for Joe, throw them in the chat. We will do this towards the middle or the end of the month. I know we're going to get Daniel Levine and a couple other people on here as well. So they want Joe to be here. So if you have questions for Joe, throw them in the chat. We'll make sure to get them answered next time. If you have questions in general, right, we're doing this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the entire month of October. And we'll go anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour answering your questions, giving you extreme value. With that, Joe, I'm going to pass it over to you. If you have anything to close out with, anything to encourage, I will say, Brian is saying, Joe, you're great looking down the road, preparing for the madness. With that said, he asked a question about the ACA. If you want to run with that, but if anything you want in closing, go for it.
All right. So the first and most important thing to me about what Brian said here, guys, is the future. Here's the one thing we know about the future, and that is absolutely positively nothing. But the way that I've always attacked that, and I think that if you do this, you're going to be fine, guys, is gather as many customers as possible. There's a whole bunch of people out there that will tell you, I don't write the ACA business. It's not lucrative enough, this, that, and the other thing. Well, guess what? Now that they're paying more, all right, is it lucrative enough yet? Well, maybe not to you, but I have thousands of ACA customers that, hey, I don't know where this whole thing's going. I do know this. I know they're my customers, and wherever it goes, I'm going to be there to be able to feed them. There'll never be a time where we are not needed. That's the only thing that I feel 100% certain about. Even look, what is your, they talk about Medicare for all. Well, guess what? If they do Medicare for all, I have all of these customers. They still need to buy something, right? Look at Medicare, guys. All these guys that sell Medicare, they do pretty darn well for themselves as well. I think we do better when we do it right, but there's a whole bunch more people that are under the age of 65, so I like to service those. Just make sure that you pay attention to what's going on in the world around you today. The only guarantee that I can make you about the government is the next thing that they touch, they're going to screw it up. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. That is 100% guarantee. Everything they touch, they suck at. They don't know how the world works. They just want to put something out there, and they're going to make mistakes that, you know what they're going to do, guys? They're going to legislate somebody rich. It might as well be you. And I'll close with that.
I 100% agree. Any other closing thoughts, any encouragements? I know I think you scheduled 2 dates. If you didn't schedule 2 dates, we're going to get you on.
I think I did.
We're going to get you on again and again, regardless. And I want to continue to contribute to the community. And I know you've got a bunch of agents in that community. I've got a bunch of agents in that community, and then there's a bunch of agents who might have questions. And I'll just highlight the last thing that Joe said. He thinks that we make more money when we do it right in the under 65 individual world versus Medicare. So that's why you're in Health Insurance Hustlers. That's why you're on the YouTube channel, because under 65 individual market is the best market out there, bar none, because, hey, there's more customers and there's more money in it. So thank you so much again, Joe, for jumping on.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations again.
We'll do it again soon. And remember to set your calendars. Friday at noon, we'll have another extremely special guest. And we have, guys, just so you know, just to kind of preview, we've got carrier reps. We've got marketing geniuses. We've got, not just $1 million a year producers, but like $5 and $6 million on their own pen producers. We've got, agency owners. We've got, you name, we've got 8 people on purely the admin side of the agency. So we're enlisting everybody. I think there's 30 or 40 people in total who we've gotten to contribute here for absolutely no cost, 100% free, just pure value. There's no pitches, no anything, because after all, the real money is going to be made from November 1st, really starting now, but from November 1st to January 15th. So I really appreciate everybody jumping on. And with that, we will wrap it up. Hope to see you on the next live stream Friday at noon Eastern time. We'll see you there.